When the pandemic hit in early 2020, it became a game reset. Every high-touch and high-risk activity had been forced to move online. Ultimately, those in the digital industry are the winners. The pandemic has created a chance for entrepreneurs to rethink about problems in society and solve them efficiently through technology. East Ventures supported startup companies to identify these problems, as well as to focus on their core strengths so that they could adapt to the crisis, survive the worst of the storm, and come back stronger. Resilience, resourcefulness, and discipline become the key traits of success. The pandemic has served as a patch to Indonesia as a platform, which now has advanced digital infrastructure and more than 200 million internet users. In the end, COVID-19 is merely holding us back for a time. We are now witnessing how Indonesia's digital economy is preparing itself to slingshot towards its golden era. The recent merger of two Indonesian tech giants is a testament to the potential of Indonesia's strong digital economy. This is just the beginning of the rise of many startups in the future, from Indonesia to the world.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Singapore Semifinals of Startup Arena, brought to you by Tech in Asia in collaboration with East Ventures. This year we are on the lookout for innovative startups who are tackling environmental, social, and governance issues, and the best of the best from these semifinals stand a chance to win some attractive prizes. My name's Nat from the Tech in Asia Studios team. I'll be your host for tonight, together with my colleague Ting.
Thanks, Nat. Before we get started with Startup Arena, just so that everybody knows what's going on, tonight will be the first of 3 semifinals, and the winners will, from today, will meet again at Tech in Asia conference that's just happening in October 12th and 13th. So that's only a few weeks away.
That's right. So if you haven't gotten your tickets, you can still get the promotional price ticket from the link in the chat box. But for all our Tech in Asia Core and Live subscribers, we're giving you access to the conference for free. So don't miss out on that. Now, bringing everyone back to tonight's agenda. Ting, do you mind running through the rules for tonight's pitches?
Absolutely. The rules are really simple. So each startup will have 5 minutes to present. We'll help you guys keep time, and when your time is up, you will hear a bell, so just pay attention. And right after that, the judges will have 5 minutes for Q&A, so just keep sharp, don't lose focus yet. And of course, it won't be a great battle without some awesome prizes. So Nat, can you tell us what kind of prizes we're dealing with today?
Of course we can. We've got some pretty amazing prizes lined up. First, for all our SG semifinalists here today, they are all eligible for these attractive prizes from Google Cloud Startup Program. Our runner-up will receive additional benefits at Tech in Asia Conference 2021, as well as additional prizes from Google Cloud and Zendit. And our winner of tonight's SG semifinal will receive all that alongside a 1-week trial to App Annie Intelligence Lite and $2,500 in cold hard cash, courtesy of our sponsor, DBS Bank. So thank you to our partners, our sponsors, DBS, App Annie, Google Cloud, and Zendit. The 2 top contenders for tonight will also enter the finale at our Tech in Asia Conference 2021 virtual next month.
Now, what's standing between these attractive prizes and our startups are our judges, and you have to impress them. So let's bring them in. First off, we have Zheng Yizhu, Senior Investment Associate at East Ventures. We also have Sukhen Wee, Managing Partner at Iterative VC. And lastly, but certainly not least, Benjamin Pippin, Channel Director at Big Idea Ventures. Welcome, judges. Really great of you to join us. Hi.
So before we get into the pitches, Could you guys just tell us what exactly you're hoping to hear from our contestants or what you're looking out for? Maybe Tsungi, could you tell us what you're hoping to see tonight?
Hey, thanks, Nat and Say. So yeah, I'm personally super interested in the space of sustainability, and it's super exciting to see these 5 companies that are going to pitch today. What I really want to hear from them is how they're going to solve the big problem around sustainability, and in general, making the society and environment a better place for the next generation. Yep.
All right. So to the audience, we also want to know which startup you are rooting for tonight. So aside from our judges deliberating who's going to win the prize, we want you to tell us who you want to win the prize. So drop a comment in the chat box right beside your video and let us know who you think deserves the top prize for tonight. These comments, do note, will not impact the final results of the pitch battle. That's up entirely to our judges, but we do want to know who impressed the audience as well.
Yeah, it's still fun to know. Let's keep things interactive. And yeah, without wasting any more time, let the battle begin. So here to kick us off, please welcome Bolong from Solar AI to the stage. Welcome. Solar AI digitizes the solar sales process, which if most of you don't know, that requires a significant upfront cost, and this prevents widespread adoption. So their solution provides all property owners with zero upfront cost solar offers. Bolong, you have 5 minutes. You ready? Yeah?
Yes, I am.
Great.
Sounds great. Thanks, Nat and Ting. Hi, everyone. Hi, judges. My name is Bolong, and I'm the CEO of Solar AI Technologies. As Ting was mentioning, Solar AI makes it as simple as possible for property owners to get solar and enjoy immediate savings at zero upfront costs. You're probably hearing quite a bit about solar these days, and that's because the solar industry is now at an inflection point. Costs have fallen 89% in the last 10 years, and it's now become the cheapest form of energy. But the thing is, we're all used to paying for electricity only when we turn on the switch, but getting solar is kind of different. You pay a significant upfront cost, break even in 5 to 7 years, and then get free electricity for an extra 20 years on top of that. We humans, though, aren't good at planning for the longer term, and this high upfront cost is why solar penetration in the region is still less than 3%. In the past few years, zero upfront cost models have emerged, and they now dominate the commercial solar installation market. But the problem is, this is often only available for large-scale projects above 1,000 solar panels. The traditional solar companies are used to a very high-touch structure of selling and managing these large-scale projects, but are unable to operate and finance smaller projects profitably. So while they all compete in this large-scale segment, they actually leave out more than 80% of the addressable market, an estimated 100 gigawatts of solar potential, or to put it in another perspective, more than $80 billion worth of investment opportunities in the Southeast Asian region alone. We're unlocking this remaining 80% by offering zero upfront cost solutions to these property owners. Unlike traditional solar companies, we're digital first and have built out tools combining data analytics as well as software to significantly reduce the cost of acquisition and then of operating all these projects. And we know this well because we first started out as a digital broker. Since launching our product in the last 6 months, we've grown completely organically. We now rank top 3 on Google for most solar search keywords in Singapore, convert all these leads through our instant solar assessment tool, and have built up a pipeline of more than 500 property owners with $0 marketing spend. In the last 3 months, we've also closed our first 10 solar projects as a broker. The value proposition to property owners is simple. Instant savings at zero upfront costs, 100% carefree. We align our interests with property owners for the longer term by installing the system for free and provide ongoing maintenance and services in return for a monthly payment. This allows property owners to monetize their roofs while we make returns. Even though we're the first movers in this segment in Southeast Asia, there are proven models of success elsewhere. These financing arrangements have been the main driver of solar adoption in the US and Germany in the past few years and have led to companies like Sunrun and Anpal with a market cap of $9 billion and $800 million respectively. In the last 3 weeks, we've also started to validate this zero upfront cost model with property owners within our pipeline and received the first few commitments to join the pilot program. We make about a 15% annualized revenue on the capital expenditure for installing the solar systems. And with an investment potential of more than $80 billion, we're going after a $12 billion market annually just in Southeast Asia alone. And all of this while we get a cleaner planet. We're a lean team with experience across tech startups and fintechs, and we're also seed funded and supported by ENGIE, one of the world's largest renewable energy companies. So to summarize, Solar AI provides property owners with immediate savings on solar at zero upfront costs. We're targeting an $80 billion market opportunity that is significantly underserved by all existing players. And especially as the future of energy shifts to distributed solar, a digital-first agile operating model is essential to win. We're well positioned to do so. We've proven out the ability to acquire customers at lower cost than any other place in the market. And in the last 6 months have built up a pipeline of close to 500 property owners, as well as closed our first 10 projects. We're really excited to share this with you, and thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Bolong. That was a really great first pitch. Okay, let's move on to the Q&A from our judges. We have 5 minutes. Zheng Yi, why don't you start the ball rolling?
Hi, Bolong.
Hey, Zheng Yi.
Yeah, so my first question is really, so you mentioned that you're looking at the regional market. So I'm just wondering which countries are you targeting first, and then subsequently, what are the different markets that you intend to expand into?
Sure. So, I mean, currently basically for a pilot fund, we are starting this within Singapore, right? But if you take a look at the market opportunities where solar is really feasible, generally you'll be looking at markets where electricity costs are high, you know, and general costs of operating these projects are lower. Apart from Singapore, the primary markets that we will then start to focus on will be Philippines and Malaysia before looking at additional Southeast Asian markets.
Got it, thank you.
Can any of us jump in here? Hey, Bolong, you and I have talked a fair bit, so good to see you again. Talk to me about, I don't know if I totally understand what you actually do, like practically do for customers, right? So instant savings, zero upfront cost. Are you then some financing type of company for people who want to install kind of solar on their houses? Is that basically what you are?
Yeah, that's basically it. So what we are providing to property owners, and we started to come up with this offer because in the last couple of months, as we were serving as a broker, essentially for property owners to just pay upfront for solar on their roofs, right? We started hearing a lot of property owners who say, and you know, for landed homeowners in Singapore, it's not really that they can't afford solar systems, but a lot of them really have concerns around, you know, if I'm going to pay for this upfront cost, am I really going to be breaking even in 6-7 years? Is maintenance cost going to be really high? What happens if the system fails, right? What we are providing them then is essentially basically telling them to say, you know, you don't have to pay any upfront costs. We will finance that for you. You just pay us a fixed monthly fee, and in return for that monthly fee, you know, if your inverters or your panels need to be changed, we'll cover that for you. If you need to do any kind of maintenance on the systems, we'll cover that for you as well. But but fundamentally, it's a fintech play.
How tolerant is your model? Like, I mean, you're lending money, right? Anytime you're lending money, you could end up losing a lot of money doing it. What are kind of the big factors that play into whether your, I guess, like lending stack is going to kind of perform well?
Yeah, great question. I mean, when we take a look at the risks in terms of potential outcomes, and we've done sensitivity analysis on this, there will be, I would say, like 2 or 3 main components to it. The first one is the repayment of these customers, basically taking into consideration default risks. As we're starting this out with a pilot, and ultimately this segment is still kind of unproven in Southeast Asia, what we'll be doing to try and mitigate those is basically looking at their credit scores, right? For landed property owners, this will be consumer credit scores. For SMEs, this will be their SME credit scores. The other component of it will be the operationability of the systems. Solar systems are not new. They've been in the market for, you know, the past decades or so. So the risk in terms of system failure is generally quite low, and we know this from statistics of, you know, actual projects which have been running in Singapore. And then I think the last portion is really kind of market risk. So for us to monetize ourselves in this model well, a portion of it will be, for example, trying to monetize the renewable energy certificates which come out of these systems. And there is definitely some price squeeze there, but so far in the models we've been pretty conservative. And if you look at long-term market trends, Singapore as a market is a much more demand-driven market for renewable energy certificates. Generally, businesses, consumers consume a lot more energy than what we are able to supply from a share of renewables perspective. So from thinking through that in the longer term, we also expect prices to actually have a lot more upside than downside.
Hey, Bolong, how are you? Great pitch. Quick question on sort of price points. What does it look like to sort of the average landed property owner? Are we talking like a monthly phone bill in the $30 to $60 range, or is it more along the lines of like a mortgage type of payment to have one of these systems at your property? Yeah,
great question. Thanks, Ben. So for a typical landed home in Singapore, it will be about a 12 kilowatt peak system size in terms of solar potential. What we are looking at is basically about $150 a month for that 12 kilowatt peak. And to these property owners, right, and the reason why I think we have been successful in getting the initial pilots on board is because the proposition to them is that this monthly amount will be expected to be lower than their electricity bill savings. So for the typical consumer, if they're on SP group, if they use 1,400 kilowatt hours per month, this is the average energy consumption of a landed home. Even taking into account the monthly payment that they are paying us, they'll be expected to get like a net savings of about anywhere between $30 to $100, dependent on how they use energy, their current electricity rates.
All right, Bolong, thank you so much for your pitch. Thank you, judges, for your questions. We've just about run out of time for the Q&A section, but great pitch. Thank you so much.
Thanks for all your questions.
Thank you very much, Bolong. But we've got to move on to our next participant. We've got Rony J. Palathinkal from GreenArc. So GreenArc's IESG solution provides credible and transparent impact measurement and reporting, hence helping financial institutions maximize the contribution of their debt portfolios towards creating positive social and environmental impact. I won't spoil the rest of it. So Rony, if you are ready, your 5 minutes starts now.
Thank you, guys. Hi, everyone. My name is Rony, CEO and co-founder of GreenArc, B2B impact and ESG analytics fintech that helps financial institutions measure the social and environmental impact generated by their loan portfolios. As we know, over the last decade, the demand for sustainable investments have been growing exponentially, with total assets under management estimated to be 26 trillion as of last year. The trend is expected to accelerate, caused by a number of industry drivers. This has led to increasing pressure on financial institutions to measure their impact and ESG footprint from institutional investors who have extensive disclosure demands, ESG conscious customers, and regulations, starting with EU SFDR this year and more to follow. This is made even more challenging by the multiple impact and ESG reporting standards, including government guidelines and regulations, supranational requirements, as well as metrics from industry bodies. Therefore, financial institutions are struggling with, one, impact measurement with multiple standards, reporting due to lack of credible tools, and impact washing, where impact claims are falsely made without evidence. Introducing GreenArc's ESG solution, which provides analytics and reporting aligned to global standards, which addresses these three issues with three key features: impact analytics, reporting, and impact audit. To look under the hood a bit, we've spent over a year developing an impact methodology aligned to global standards, including GenIRIS+, IFC principles, and UN SDGs. And being part of the globally recognized impact management projects, Impact Frontiers cohort, has provided significant credibility to our methodology. Our IOG solution integrates large data sets, including socioeconomic benchmarks obtained from 200 plus jurisdictions and multilaterals, as well as loan data types obtained from financial institutions to measure the impact of loan portfolios. The solution was created with scalability in mind, with an industry-first impact API that allows financial institutions to plug in and measure the impact, as well as an MAS-funded impact audit research project with BNP Paribas to prevent impact washing. Of the 300 plus ESG and impact solutions in the market, ours is the only one which measures impact for private debt portfolios, including loans, at an end beneficiary level. The solution falls within the broader banking and financial services analytics market and is a sizable opportunity. There is a blue ocean that exists, very similar to credit scoring before the rating agencies were set up. And we expect a gold rush to start in the next 6 to 12 months. We operate on a SaaS-based pricing model with a one-time setup fee and a recurring usage fee based on volumes of data processed. We have access to a large multi-region loan data set, which allows us to measure and provide value-added services like the impact audit solution. In terms of traction, we are doing well with a number of live clients and a healthy pipeline across banks and financial institutions. In terms of financial metrics, we are on track with revenue and significantly ahead on assets and platform targets. We have multiple industry accolades and a clear pathway to scaling, consisting of partnerships with 2 large financial technology solution providers. This includes a core banking solution provider with whom we are looking to roll out a solution for our entire retail banking client base, as well as a UK-listed financial analytics provider. We have an experienced team.
To cut you off right there, so sorry, but thank you for your 5 minutes. Let's bring on the Q&A portion. So judges, your questions for Rony and for GreenArc. Maybe let's start with Suken this time. Suken, do you have any questions for Rony?
Yeah, and look, I'm not that familiar with this space, but I'm like, what is like a practical use? I feel like you talked around kind of like what the like space was like and like the structure of what you're building, but like what is the practical use case of like one client that uses your thing and what do they use it for?
Thanks again. So impact measurement for the use case is impact measurement for lenders' loan books. So today, if you look at a bank, the largest of banks and asset managers will have in-house teams to measure the impact of their financial products. But if you look at the tier 2 and tier 3 banks, as well as...
Give me a specific case. Pick a specific bank, make it up, pick a loan book that they're doing, like give me a specific case.
Sure. So there's a Japanese financial institution that we are working with. Let's call it Institution A. So A has a book across Southeast Asia, and their total portfolio is 30 billion. So there is a project that we did specifically in Cambodia, where we took their entire portfolio of 37 million in loans, and we applied our analytics solution to give them a score for an individual loan, each individual loan, as well as the entire portfolio, and giving recommendation in terms of what does it take to improve their impact score. Now, how is it useful for them? They intend to place themselves or market themselves as an impact financier, which means they get access to better terms in terms of credit from their borrowers. And providing this analytics allows them to do that.
I just want to add on to Suken's question. So you mentioned this solution can be used to measure the impact of specific loans or the entire loan portfolio. I'm just wondering, can we bring this, can this be used at an earlier stage where when the bank's assessing which loan to issue or which loan to take up, can they use this
Absolutely.
solution to yeah, okay.
Absolutely, yeah, thanks, Jengi. So there is the second financial analytics provider that we are working with, the UK listed firm. That is exactly what we are doing with them, starting with a pilot in Singapore and with the intention of rolling it out for Southeast Asia. So they have a credit measurement bureau credit solution. So this is a complementary solution where they can check how sustainable the loans are in addition to how risky it is. So yes, the answer is you can use it.
And one more question is, how integratable is this to existing, say, loan assessment frameworks or the existing loan systems that exist within the banks? How you plan to integrate into those existing systems?
Yeah, absolutely. So the challenge quite often with any of these SaaS solutions is it'll become one more solution to use, which banks do not want to do it, which is exactly the reason why we are integrating with the core banking or the loan management solution guys that I spoke about. So our scaling solution is one of them, of course, the guys that we are partnering with. The additional business development we are doing is exactly this, where we are integrating our API into existing solutions. So it'll be seamless for banks and financial institutions.
All right, thank you for your answer.
Thanks, Shingi.
Yeah, just one quick question on the financing side. What type of investments are you guys looking for in terms of capital investment from investors, and which stage are you at in terms of fundraising?
Thanks, Ben. So in terms of capital, we've raised a seed round of close to $1 million, and we have some non-dilutive grants from MAS. Currently, we are at the pre-seed level. We are looking to raise $500,000 to take us, to cover us to the next stage where we'll be fully integrated with our technology providers.
Got it. Thank you.
All right, thank you for the question, judges, and thank you, Rony. On to our next contestant, Frankie. Frankie focuses on mental health care and wellness. They bridge the pre-consultation and post-consultation process with preventative mental health and well care for all. With the help of daily challenges and a wellness ecosystem, the platform takes steps to detect, identify, and intervene by controlling stress, increasing resilience, and boosting low self-esteem. This is great. Welcome, Tyr A, the CEO of Frankie.
Thank you. I bet that most of you are feeling stressed right now. I know I am. But like it or not, everyone experiences stress, but not everyone understands it and much less know how to cope with it. So this is where Frankie comes in. And Frankie is a preventative mental health and wellness journey app that helps you to build better and more productive lives with just one small task a day. So we see how mental health actually affects people on a daily basis, both locally and globally. Just last year, 78.9% of mental health conditions went undiagnosed and untreated. So mental health is a $240 billion market, and there is still high friction in seeking help for mental health. And this actually boils down to four main reasons. The first is the cost of mental health care. Second is fear of stigma. The third is limited awareness. And the fourth is the lack of treatment availability and accessibility. But what if everyone could be rewarded for taking care of their mental health and wellness? Frankie does exactly that. So Frankie rewards you for building mental resilience through gamified wellness journeys. And this is done through four main pillars. The first one is education. So this is content-based. The second is through our wellness journey, which is the core of Frankie. The third is through professional check-ins. And the last is support. And this is a sample of the content. As they go through the content, we go through our wellness journey. So on our wellness journey, we complete tasks, collect points, and redeem real-world rewards. So there are three main wellness journeys that you can embark on Frankie. And the first is general journeys, which are curated based on how much time availability you have in a day. The second is expert-led journeys, which is a holistic wellness journey. And this focuses on meditation, mindfulness, sound therapy, fitness, Muay Thai, and Ayurvedic medicine. The last one would be more treatment focused. And this is for people who have already existing conditions such as anxiety, stress, lethargy, or insomnia. And of course, if you require further check-ins, you have the teleconsult with a professional. So this is our pre-launch traction. We'll be launching in October 2021. And so far, we have onboarded about 55 mental health care professionals. We have 53 rewards partners, and we have raised a pre-seed funding of 305,000. Our business model is pretty simple. We are working on a freemium model with users. So users pay a subscription to go through other specialized journeys, and brands and medical professionals pay a platform fee. In February 2022, we'll be working together with corporates to launch our corporate wellness program. So I work together with Desmond, Beverly, and Jack on Frankie. And these are a list of our advisors who will be helping us with expansion to countries like Australia as well as New Zealand. If you have any other questions, I would love to answer them in Q&A.
Thank you so much for that presentation. Let's start off the Q&A with Benjamin.
Sure, love the idea. You know, myself working in corporates as well, I think that health and wellness is top of mind for a lot of corporates. I guess I would just give one piece of advice on your business development team. Hire somebody to go straight after the corporates, especially in terms of the onboarding process. When you're bringing on new employees, make this a mandatory sort of something that they have to do once they enter into the company. And also partner with as many super apps as possible, especially in that ecosystem, whether it's Meituan or Gojek or Grab, to try to bring in that rewards side to it as well. I think there's a huge, huge opportunity for your company. Sorry, I don't have a question, but just a comment.
I have one. So I've invested in a couple of kind of wellness companies and advised a couple. This is a crowded space. What's your what's your take? What is everybody else getting wrong that you're getting right with Frankie?
So when we first started Frankie, there was a few tests, validation tests that we did that focus entirely on retention rates. So if you see Headspace has a 95% dropout rate after 30 days. And this was something that we found very interesting because with mental health, you wanted something that is prolonged and that you can do on a consistent basis. So our validation test focused on building retention. And we found that with rewards, real world rewards, people are incentivized to actually stay on that journey. So our average wellness journeys run from 7 to 30 days. And at every single step, every task they do, they are rewarded. So at the end of the journey, they can either redeem an entire package with a fitness studio, or they can redeem a nutrition rewards. So things around those lines that improve their wellness.
So just a response to that. I feel like this has been tried. Have you looked at other companies that have tried this? And this has especially been tried with behavioral changes related to kind of like adherence with like drugs and real world kind of like rewards and stuff. Have you looked at those other companies? What is there to kind of like learn from those?
So for most of those companies, they do it through a point system as well, but it's not real world rewards. So when there's something more tangible that's placed in front of you, you have the tendency to want to react. So it's almost immediate gratification, which is what we are using for Frankie.
All right. Any more questions from the judges for Tyr Frankie?
Yeah, here's just a quick one. So I came from consulting previously, and the health and wellness space is definitely something that's quite important to the consulting sector. So I'm just wondering, what are some of the key target markets and some of the large corporates that you're going after, and how are you going to plan to go about tackling some of these markets, and also how do you plan to go about onboarding some of the partners that can potentially provide some of these rewards for your product? Yeah.
Okay. So I think if we go back, okay, I guess the slide is gone, but on our advisors slide, the advisors that we work with, they are actually strategic advisors. So they focus on, okay, I can't, alrighty. Okay, they focus on the Australian market as well as the New Zealand market. Those are the two markets that we are moving into with their help. And then when we onboard any rewards partners, we are also onboarding them at one go. One of the advisors that we work with, Kavi, he's from the Harry Layla Hospitality Group. So he'll be assisting us with onboarding all wellness partners at one go. And this is how we plan to move into every single market. As long as the advisors we work with has the context there, we will move to those places first.
Got it, thanks.
Thank you.
Wonderful. I think that's all the questions our judges have. Just last check. Judges, you all good? Cool. Thank you so much, judges. Thank you so much here. We're going to move on to the next contestant for today, who is Animesh Jha from Volt 14 Solutions. Volt 14 develops battery materials technologies that reduce the cost of batteries by up to 30% and improve energy density by up to 40%, making personal and fleet electric mobility more cost competitive and increasing the adoption of energy storage systems needed for clean energy grids. Are you ready, Animesh?
I am.
All right, you have 5 minutes starting now.
Good afternoon, judges and everyone who's tuned in. I'm Animesh, and my company is Volt 14 Solutions. Volt 14 Solutions is fundamentally a material science company, and we are developing high-performance silicon-based battery technology. We develop battery materials for our customers who are lithium-ion battery cell manufacturers who produce battery cells for all applications of batteries, the most prominent ones being electric mobility, stationary energy storage systems, as well as consumer electronics. The fundamental value that we enable is that we enable improved battery energy density by up to 40% at a price point that beats the current industry standard, while offering seamless integration into installed manufacturing lines and lowered cost of adoption by reducing R&D time and costs. We are differentiated by the competition by offering 3 times higher subcomponent performance than any comparable state-of-art material. We offer the lowest cost of adoption, and as important with battery technologies, our solution is highly scalable with relatively low capital intensity, intensive scaling up. We are currently seed funded, we are patent protected, and our core team has been established with ongoing sampling with industry-leading customers. One of the biggest problems in the electrification of our future is that batteries are not good enough. Batteries continue to be very expensive. If we take an electric car, which will make up roughly 30 to 35% of all automotive sales by 2025, batteries make up almost 30% of the cost. If you look at stationary energy storage systems, which will increasingly proliferate our grids and homes, batteries make up 90% of the cost. Furthermore, batteries don't store enough energy for this size. For example, if you look at the massive batteries that are present in buses, forklifts, or any fleet applications, because they don't store enough charge, these systems need to effectively be charged during the shift, reducing operational efficiencies. If you look at consumer electronics, again, batteries take up a huge chunk of the PCB real estate, limiting the design possibilities for the creator of these devices. Volt 14 develops materials that improves energy densities of the batteries being used, reduces the cost of the batteries being used, while being deployable on established manufacturing lines. This means up to 30% longer electric vehicle range, 30% reduced pack level costs for applications like stationary energy storage systems or backup power, even for homes and grids, as well as longer battery life for be it smartphones, wearables, medical devices, and so on. We achieve that by basically offering an alternative material solution to an existing subcomponent inside battery cells. So battery cells could be anything that a customer wants. The remaining subcomponents can be anything what they want. We swap out one existing subcomponent with a silicon-rich alternative. The battery industry is expected to undergo a 6-fold increase in production volume over the next 10 years, driven by increasing electric mobility and energy storage adoption. Even in 2025, based on current projections, anode material alone will be a market size of over $20 billion. And this is extremely conservative because It does not account for entirely new geographical markets in South Asia and Southeast Asia that will be unlocked, as well as entirely new applications in wearables, medical devices, and robotics, enabled by improved battery performance. So the battery industry is well established. It is competitive. So in our space right now, there are corporations as well as startups that offer silicon material. This is basically powder that is sold to battery companies. Battery companies purchase these materials and then internally develop anodes using a little bit of this material. There are two main issues arising out of this. One is that even with the availability of alternative materials, battery companies have to spend years of formulation engineering as well as electrode engineering to develop anodes out of this. So that is a huge barrier for adoption for most companies, especially if you're not a tier 1 company. Secondly, that even though these materials offer an uptick in performance, only tiny amounts of them can be incorporated in existing anode material. Therefore, the performance boost that you get is only incremental. Volt14 addresses both of these problems because we are not just supplying silicon material. The product that we are selling is the overall integrated solutions that can be directly adopted by battery cell companies. So we are not selling wood, we are not selling nails, we are selling the whole IKEA bed. Furthermore, our proprietary chemistry enables up to a 3x higher silicon content, giving us best-in-class energy density. So currently, we have material qualification initiated by leading players in the smartphone space, in the automotive space, as well as customers in the power tools and as well as consumer appliances space. Furthermore, we have a strategic partnership with a leading chemicals trading companies that gives us relationship access to 7 out of 10 of China's largest battery manufacturers. Our model is basically, at scale, we will be producing and selling material to battery companies.
All right, Animesh, stop you right there. Thank you so much for your pitch. Now we're going to move on to the Q&A. So judges, do any of you have any questions for Volt14? Maybe this time we could start with Tsung-Yi.
Hi, Animesh.
Hey, Jenny.
Yeah, I'm just interested. So I'm just wondering what is the stage of the company at in terms of manufacturing. I assume you're manufacturing that silicon rich and not slurry, right?
Yeah.
So,
yes.
Yeah.
Correct,
so
yeah.
I'm just thinking, what is the stage you're at in terms of the developing the manufacturing process, or at what level are you ready to scale up the?
It's a technology readiness level. So we are at this point a seed stage companies with 6 people. So our material is currently at the lab benchtop. However, the material R&D is largely done. We send samples to customers, they test us. The next step for us is like scaling from the lab to kg scale, then to a bigger pilot line, and a little, actually significantly down the line to actual mass production.
Got it, thanks.
Yeah, once you get to scale, what is sort of the cost that you're looking at versus standard lithium batteries that are on the market now? Are you looking to undercut those once you're at scale?
Correct, yeah. So of course, like for the exact material price, the selling price of the material depends from customer to customer, but we are anticipating that even with the improvements in energy density, the resultant battery cells will be significantly cheaper than the graphite-based systems today.
Got it. And another thing in batteries that I wonder, and sort of concerns me is the reusability and the fact that once their lifespan's sort of over, they end up sort of in landfill, and that's pretty much that. What's sort of the lifespan or potential, sort of sustainability of the product at the end of the day?
So in terms of the battery cells itself, the final battery cell is not significantly better or worse in terms of a recycling perspective. That comes more of the cell design and cell engineering side of things. What we can say that if you take a 1 kilowatt-hour battery system, because our energy density is higher, you'll have fewer cells. So ultimately, the number of cells entering the entire circular system will be fewer.
Okay.
So, okay, the pitch really just comes down to, can you just do it? Can you actually pull off everything you just said, right?
Yeah.
So if this pitch is a little bit like you're pitching the cure for cancer. It's like, yeah, if you have better batteries, you're going to be worth a lot of money. The question is, can you like make better batteries or not, right? I think the trick comes down to like, you have an entire like trillions of dollars industry working against you, right? Tesla is working with Panasonic. They're dumping tons of monies into batteries. Like, how do I buy that? Like, I mean, I've been used, I appreciate it. So you entertain the question, but like, why do I bet on you and not like Elon and his like mountains of engineers that are going to work on this? And by the way, I feel like in your team slide, I'm sure you have hopefully kind of like technical and a PhD and all that. You should put that in your team slide. I don't know who you are, right?
Yeah. So that was the slide after the 5-minute timer. Yeah.
Got it. Yeah. You know, I should not be starting this company. I have no credibility starting a company like this, but like I figured you probably would. But how do you kind of answer the question of like, why you guys out of like everybody who's like working on better batteries out there?
So I would say one thing is the tech side of things, and one is some of the market segments we are looking at, right? So we obviously, when you open LinkedIn or Bloomberg, silicon anodes everywhere, solid state batteries everywhere. But when we talk to many companies, again, we are talking about LG Chems and Samsung, right? There's this whole tail end of markets of companies that are, producing at 1 gigawatt hours or 2 gigawatt hours. These guys don't talk about silicon. These guys don't talk about solid state, battery technologies, because the cost of adoption and internally developing is very high. So the reason why we're making a total solution for them is that these guys will be able to adopt it in the next 2 to 3 years. These are companies that are currently just using graphite-based systems with, off-the-shelf electrolytes. So that is one market segment that we will uniquely be able to access. Secondly is that, of course, we have some technological advantages that, enable some benefits for us, enabled again by the team that we have today.
But why don't existing battery makers just like work in this space, right? Like, is the bet on the company that you're targeting a market other people are ignoring? Then what happens when other people start working on those markets?
So I would say so of course there are companies, like I mentioned, right? There are some, and these companies that I put, right? I mean, these companies are with Sunshine, PTR, these are existing suppliers to, let's say, a Panasonic or Tesla and so on, right? So again, I will not talk about Samsung or I would say Tesla, because these are, I would say, so the kind of, I would say, silicon contents and the kind of performance we're enabling is possible only if a company is very, very vertically integrated. And the only company that is taking this sort of approach, to my knowledge, is Tesla. Because the kind of know-how that is required is really across the whole value chain. It's not on the materials level, it's not just the slurry level, it's not just on the cell level. Unless you really control the whole value chain, it is hard to do it. So we have proprietary chemistry, but besides that, because we are working in the space in the value chain, that enables us to really optimize a lot of the components that it would be difficult for existing companies.
Wait, so are you saying the one company that can do this is Tesla? I wish you said any other company besides that.
It is no. So again, the thing is, the market is it is Tesla, but Tesla is not going to be selling to everyone. To be honest, I'm not going to go out on a limb and say, okay, this battery is going to beat Tesla, right? Tesla is working on amazing tech. But Tesla is one company. They hold 5 or 10% of the market. There's a whole ocean for us to sail into.
All right. How about let's end with a quick question from Benjamin.
Yeah, just wondering, your ask right now is 2.5 million. You're looking for funding?
So right now, actually, we have raised a seed round over 2 rounds so far of around $1.3 million. We are actually we will be raising at the Q1 of next year around $3 million.
Okay.
Around, yeah.
Right. Thank you for that. We are nearing the end of Startup Arena. So just a quick reminder to everyone that's watching at home, if you see any startups or if you're rooting for anyone in particular, let us know in the comments. So yeah, let's just start that conversation. Up next, we have EcoWorth Tech. EcoWorth Tech is a clean tech startup company in the water remediation and waste management space. It provides a breakthrough solution for the removal and recuperation of organic contaminants or oil from industrial oil and gas wastewater. Over to you, Andre.
Thank you, and hello, everyone. So my name is Andre Stolz, and I have left my previous well-paid corporate job to follow my passion for sustainability to make an even bigger impact to environment and society. At EcoWorth Tech, I get to turn waste into worth. Did you know that 80% of world's wastewater is being dumped back into the environment, largely untreated? But why? Because to treat the wastewater and to especially remove those organic contaminants is very costly, inefficient, and often creates additional waste. Legislation is tightening in almost every country, and corporates through their CSR programs require the reuse of the water. EcoWorth Tech has a solution to it and is turning waste into worth. We are focusing on industrial wastewater treatment and oil and gas decontamination. Both are sizable markets growing almost double digit. And we have tailored and modular solutions to both smaller and bigger players in the market. And we are addressing several sustainability development goals. We are commercializing an environmentally friendly super absorbent sponge technology that we call the carbon fiber aerogel, or in short, CFA. The material, which you can see here in the screen or in the picture in my background, is made out of a cellulosic biomass. So we can use a waste material or paper waste, carton waste, convert to our CFA, and that material is ultra efficient in the absorbency of a wide range of liquid organics, like oils, grease, fats, dyes, solvents. The material can take up to 190 times its own weight. And like a sponge, through simple mechanical squeezing, we can reuse the organics and then redeploy the sponge over and over again. So we have been integrating CFA into various water treatment solutions. What you see here is our CFA Duo that is capable of removing up to 99.9% of insoluble organics suspended in water. This system focuses on the recovery of valuable organics from the wastewater, plus provides the clients a reliable and compliant way to meet their discharge levels, and that at lower cost. We have been validating the solutions by treating 2,500 liters of perfume wastewater with a local Fortune 100 company. And in those pilots, we've not only been able to reuse the wastewater, which was initially highly contaminated, but to recover about 80% of these valuable perfume oils that you can see here in the picture. And that at half of the cost and with positive environmental impact. We also have been incorporating CFA into solvent solutions and are working with renowned oil and gas clients on solutions that prevent oil that is housed in oil traps or intersectors to enter the ocean during rainy weather. And as you can see here in the video, comparing against commercially available solvent products, ours is able to absorb the organics at much faster rate, at much higher capacity. And then through simple mechanical squeezing, we can reuse organics and then redeploy the sponge over and over again. We also have been integrating our CFA into a robust heavy-duty filter for the oil refineries and found our first paying client here in the sour water application. So our client has now a reliable filter that even works with process upsets and has a 40x ROI, mostly driven by the savings in the chemicals due to the better and reliable readings. And we're going now after these beachhead markets quite aggressively. Compared to other solvent technologies out there, we have a clear differentiations on the organic recovery, the positive environmental impact, and the low cost. We have a global exclusive license on the patent and are developing foreground IP, mostly around recuperation. The team that brings this innovation to life consists of experts with both scientific and business expertise, and each of them is as passionate to take this technology to market. Our business model is mostly centered around the sales of CFA that is housed in cartridges, filters, or booms. And we've also identified future upsides that make our financials even more attractive. Fortunately, we've been featured by various global and regional media, but most importantly, we've received positive reviews from clean tech experts, which now allows us to get to business clients quite efficiently and without marketing budgets. At this point in time, we are collaborating with a couple of renowned clients, as you can see here, and have identified a multi-million-dollar sales pipeline. At this stage, we're raising 500,000 in order to convert additional clients in the sour water into paying customers before we then go to full commercial sales and geographical expansion. So if you do want to be part of the journey to make this positive environmental and social impact, please support us and invest in us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Andre, for that presentation. Now on to the Q&A. Sukan, do you have any questions for Andre?
Yeah, I feel like it's interesting. These ESG pitches are like all the problems are like huge. Sometimes we I talk to 5 companies that are all building food review picture websites, and I'm like, does any of this matter, right? And I feel like all these companies, I'm like, yes, all of these things matter. It's just a matter of like, can you pull this off or not? And Andre, it's kind of a similar thing with you, right? Like obviously, like if you can do this, it's like a big deal. Can you talk to me about the landscape of kind of like where this industry like is right now? Like I know nothing about it, right? So like what you're doing like looks impressive, but I don't know kind of like the current like state of play. Can you give me a kind of quick primer on that?
Okay, good question. So King, there's a lot of technologies out there today that are various filters, right? That treat the wastewater, but basically condense all the contaminants into a filter, and you either have to throw away the organics with the filter or to chemically backwash it, which creates chemical waste. So this is something with our solutions which we don't have, right? So a client can reuse the wastewater and also reuse the organics. And our material is sustainability and environmentally friendly, and even has an end-of-life application in constructions and soil amendment. So this is really a kind of a game changer in this area. Then that was on the water treatment in a wider sense. And a lot of these materials are, for example, activated carbons or any other carbon filters. On the sorbent side, there's a lot of sorbent materials there, polypropylene or other materials that mostly focus on absorbing the oils, but also here, these are not reusable. To absorb the oils, you have to dispose them off together. Think about the spills in lakes, rivers, harbors. These are not environmentally friendly. And there's a huge deployment and logistic issue to get them out, right? Our material is also light, it's highly efficient, and we can even squeeze out the organics at the locations where the spill happens and then redeploy the sponge again.
Can I ask a follow-up question here, which is, who do you think your initial target market is, right? I mean, look, there's lots of applications for this, but typically you need to pick whoever has whoever feels the problem you solve the most. Have you kind of identified who that is? What are their characteristics?
Yes, so we have identified that in the oil refinery, the so-called sour water application. That is first of all, in the oil and gas, which is huge clients, right? They have huge amount of wastewater. But the sour water applications and the streams that measure the pH is a relatively sizable or smaller amount of wastewater that we can tackle with the current capacity that we have and the output. And here we have demonstrated through a several months pilot with an actual Thai petroleum company that we have a competitive advantage. So other filters either change the pH level of the water, and then also the subsequent chemical dosing does not work. Right, and this is an area where we first want to enter into oil and gas, and then we can come with treating the bigger amount of processed water, and also then going into the sorbent and oil spill applications. And especially on oil spill, my vision is still that we will be able to tackle oil on the ocean, especially if there's a tanker. But at this point in time, this is an emergency, a huge logistic challenge, and that is something we can tackle later on when we grow. And we grow first with getting a regular business kind of with the regular smaller streams, which we can tackle first at this stage.
Cool, thank you.
I have a question here. So I've read about carbon-based aerogels that existed for a while now. But in terms of the commercial adoption within the oil and gas space, it has been pretty slow over the past few years. So I'm just wondering, what are your thoughts around this headwind in terms of commercial adoption, and how you attempt to scale this business and increase adoption within the oil and gas space?
Yeah, good question, and you're right, Jenny. The aerogel adoption is very slow, and mostly it's driven because of complex manufacturing processes. So most aerogels require capital-intensive and batch productions, freeze-drying processes, coatings, all that is expensive, only be able in batch, or additional coatings, chemical coatings. We don't use any of it. We use a controlled burning process. So it's a low-temperature pyrolysis process that we can scale up on a continuous line. With that, we can take the costs down, we can increase the output, and we don't have any chemicals or expensive pre-treatments in the whole process to apply. So, and I think cost is one of the biggest issues at the moment.
Right. I think let's just squeeze in one more question from Benjamin.
Sure. Just curious about the source material of CFA. Where are you sourcing this from, and how sustainable is that as you scale, as you need, thousands of kilos of this stuff? Where is it coming from?
Yeah, thanks, Benjamin. So at the moment we are using raw cotton, which is a sustainable, good quality source that we can take. It's a renewable material. We have done tests on using waste paper, waste carton. We have done tests on empty fruit bunches, on all kinds of husk, other renewable materials. So, and our vision is that we take a local natural waste material and convert that into our carbon fiber aerogel, and then apply to local waste streams. So we keep the supply source very short and being ultra efficient. And that's where really then our waste to worth kind of cycle comes into play twice. Once in taking a waste material turning it into our material, and then treating another waste stream and generating value out of it.
Yeah, I love that side of actually finding a sustainable source for this, where you're doing two types of efficiency and recycling. I think that's great.
Thanks. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Andre and judges. That's all of our pitches tonight. Thank you all to the startups who've put yourself out here, and also to the teams behind you guys. And of course, thank you to our judges for taking the time in this afternoon and listening to all these very promising entrepreneurs.
That's right. So now our judges are gonna step away for a little bit to discuss tonight's pitches and deliberate on who will walk away as the winner of tonight's Startup Arena semifinals in Singapore. But in the meantime, all of you watching, don't go away, because we're gonna have our own little discussion here with our TechNasia journalist, Tay Tian-Wen, who will be joining us to talk about what he thought of tonight's contestants. While this whole thing is going on, feel free to keep your comments coming in about who your favorite startup is, who impressed you the most with their pitch. But in the meantime, you can listen to us as well. So, hey Tian-Wen, how's it going?
Hey, anything. Going good. And thanks for having me on this edition of Startup Arena.
Well, hey, thanks for coming. Maybe let's start off with who really piqued your interest. Who was the participant tonight who you thought, wow, like they've got something?
Sure. I'll probably go with EcoWorth thing, actually. I think what they have is very outstanding. And it seems they've really scored pretty big partnerships with leading companies around the world. I think what's cool is that they use carbon fiber aerogels, right, which can potentially be used in construction or soil amendments. And from what I gather, it's also non-toxic and non-carcinogenic. So it's this idea, right, that it plays very strongly on the theme of circular economy, but it also potentially serves as a solution to the global water crisis. Because especially here in Southeast Asia, where we're seeing the region becoming increasingly water stressed, I think EcoWorth could be a solution for that.
Right. Yeah, we actually featured EcoWorth in a partnership content video a while back. So maybe Andre would remember that, coming to our TechNasia office to shoot a quick profile video. And I did shout out them in the newsletter as well, the Saturday VC newsletter. So great to see EcoWorth. Great to see startups that we've written about or featured coming back to join us in these events. But yeah, did any of the other startups actually stand out to you? Was there anything interesting in the realm that they were exploring, in their growth trajectories? Yeah, which else of the participants stood out to you, Tim?
I'll probably have to go with solar AI. Because I think what they're doing is trying to optimize solar energy projects via a very data-driven approach. From what I've seen in the pitch deck, only 3% of available rooftops are penetrated. So there's still significant room for growth. There's also a use case in areas where land is in short supply, right? And there's a huge opportunity cost in terms of like how land is used. In terms of solar energy adoption, we see a lot of countries here in Southeast Asia beginning to adopt solar energy. So as Bolong has mentioned earlier, Malaysia and the Philippines, Vietnam as well. And in terms of installed capacity in Malaysia, for example, I've heard that it's going to expand well over 30% between 2020 to 2030. So I think that bodes pretty well for solar AI. A few concerns I have is solar energy is still very reliant on government support, right? So you see COVID-19 dealing a huge blow to public finances, and I do wonder if that's going to affect like public funding or incentives for these solar energy companies to sort of install solar panels. But that said, I think Malaysia has these two programs, right? One is the net offset virtual aggregation program. The other one is the net energy metering program, and both seem to be doing quite well, even though there's been a number of challenges brought about by the pandemic.
Yeah, I'm really pleasantly surprised to see more and more solar panels popping up here and there on top of HDB blocks and all that. So looking forward to where, these startups like Solar AI bring Singapore to the next green step. Let's just go down the line of all the presenters today. We've talked about ecotech, we've talked about solar AI. How about Frankie?
Sure.
It's very colorful, I like them.
Yeah, I do agree. Like mental health is a growing concern, right? Like how the WHO even warns of the sort of impending mental health crisis post-COVID-19. At the same time, though, I think some of the judges have already mentioned that there are quite a number of players addressing different phases of mental health. So I think Tyr mentioned earlier that she kind of saw Frankie as like a preventive mental health app, right? Then you have people like Intellect and Capify, which are more preventive focused. Then you have people like Safe Space, which focus on mental health service accessibility. And then there are also people like MyFi, which are more productivity focused, a bit more casual in their approach to mental health. So I think one concern is how can Frankie sort of differentiate itself from the crowd, right? As the judges have rightly pointed out already. And are they trying to play like a sort of end-to-end game? Are they trying to capture like both sides of the market, right? But will it be a case of trying to appease everyone and failing to satisfy nobody in the end? Or will they actually succeed in becoming this all-encompassing platform that they are aspiring to?
Yeah, and I really love that when we asked Benjamin for a question, he gave like a really solid piece of advice. And I'm not sure if the team is already working on corporate partnerships and all that, but yeah, they should crack on with that.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, we had a shoot a while back discussing telehealth and some of the innovations within space. And that aspect of mental health came up as well, because telehealth, people tend to think of like, your traditional medical services, but they don't always focus on the mental well-being of, themselves or for companies, their employees. And that actually has been discussed as being the key entry point for these mental health apps to be able to make it, so to speak, in the market. Because once they connect with these corporate partners, once they connect to these corporate maybe users, then that would really boost their user numbers, really boost their reach. So good to see.
I cannot think of a more important topic right now during like COVID times and to open up that communication and all that.
Yeah.
Okay, how about GreenArc? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I do have some thoughts on it. So they did tease out some of the key problems that ESG currently faces, like greenwashing, how there's so many standards that sort of complicate, right, this issue of reporting impact in ESG. And they've also mentioned that their methodology is sort of mapped to high ESG goals and the UN Sustainable Development Goals. But at the same time, it's like, are they saying that they are a synthesized hybrid of all these existing standards? Or is it kind of like a puzzle, right, where they take bits and pieces from all these standards and sort of stitch them together? So that kind of leads me into the second part of my concern, which is how transparent is this going to be? Because you're talking about a lot of these standards coming together, right? We're not trying to bring all these standards together, trying to sort of analyze and present like a more coherent picture. But how transparent is it? It's probably going to be key in convincing people that, oh, this is something that's actually better than the standards that are already out there. Yeah. So transparency is key. And also because ESG is really quite an amorphous term. Like if I tell you, okay, I want to be ESG focused, it probably varies from organization and even between individuals. That's why exactly does sustainability mean as a concept to individuals. It's going to vary quite a lot as well. And ultimately, like having analytics can provide a clearer picture, provided the input is good in the first place. Because like they always say in data science, right? Garbage in, garbage out. So if GreenArc is able to provide that clarity and point ESG in a better direction, then not only like the financial institutions, but the world will be better for it.
Yeah. I'm really glad that, we've hosted plenty of these startup arenas and pitch nights and all that, but this is the first time that we've really zoned in on one single industry, and it's such big problems facing, and we're not sure whether we can like get to that in our lifetime but it's step forward. I believe that the judges are back with their deliberations, and I think we have the results. So are we ready? Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Tianwen, for joining us earlier. Now that our judges are back, who will be the winners for Startup Arena Singapore Semifinals 2021? That's the question on everyone's minds. So judges, I hope you've had good time to discuss. I hope you've all come to a consensus. I hope no one is no longer friends among the judge panels. We've certainly had some pretty interesting thoughts on today's contestants and pitches. So before we announce who our runner-up, who our winners are, what can you tell me about them? What impressed you so much about this winner for tonight? The runner-up for tonight as well. Maybe give us a clue as to who this may be. Tsungi, maybe you can share your thoughts.
I'm really excited to see everyone pitching today. Whether it's a new business model, whether it's a new approach to business, or whether it's just using technology to improve the ways we're doing things. So I believe the future of sustainability around ESG is really driven by how do we develop new technologies to bring about a better way of doing things. Yeah.
Right. So this is pretty exciting. We're getting to the announcement for our runner-up and winner of the Singapore Semifinals for Startup Arena Pitch Battle 2021. But thank you so much once again to the judges.
Actually, I just have one more. I want to know, judges, what were your thought process on what were the key criteria that you were looking at in order to select the winners for tonight? Benjamin, Sukan?
Yeah, I'm just super focused on addressable market and also tech stack. Who's got the best tech and how big of a problem are we solving? Those are my two big ones.
Yeah, my thing there is always whenever we invest in a company, the company always represents some thesis about the world, and so I think for me, it's always just distilling down what a company is in their pitch into what their thesis represents, and then whether I'm willing to kind of bet on that thesis or not. So, I think each of these companies has probably more than one. So I think it's just looking at those.
All right, I love that.
Right. Well, now, thank you so much again, judges, for all your time. Thank you for being here and taking the time to speak to these startups and to evaluate them. So without further ado, let's just do a quick recap of what our winner and our runner-up for tonight is walking away with. They are walking away with Google Cloud Startup Credits worth $4,000, plus technical enablement sessions through Google Cloud Startup Office Hour and engagement with Startup Success Manager. And they will also enter the finale at our Technesia Conference 2021 virtual next month. But only one startup will walk away with a complimentary one-week trial to App Annie Intelligence Lite, as well as $2,500 in cash prize from DBS Bank. So without stalling any further, Ting, why don't you start off with our runner-up?
All right. So, and the runner-up is, drum roll.
Yes.
All right, and the moment we've all been waiting for. Who is the winner of Startup Arena 2021 Singapore Regional Finals? Brace yourselves. The winner for tonight's Startup Arena Singapore is...
Thank you.
Woo. All right, can we have our runner-up and our winner come on stage, please?
Join us on stage.
All
Fantastic.
Right. Thank you so much again, Animesh and Andre, for pitching tonight. Wonderful job as well for your pitches, for winning the runner-up and the winning prizes for tonight. Could you tell me how you're feeling? Animesh, how do you feel about your winning the runner-up place tonight?
Oh, it's quite great. I mean, with the judges, so the space that we are in, obviously, as the judges mentioned, we are building technologies that will, I would say, hopefully have a very, very profound impact on not just, I would say, the businesses that we work with, but also in general, enable or accelerate the transition to a cleaner future. I'm glad that they are the judges who evaluated us saw our vision, and I would love to probably just continue speaking with them afterwards, learn more perspectives, maybe brainstorm a bit, and take it from there. Thanks a lot for the opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. Doesn't mean you're the runner-up, but then you're moving straight on to the finals, so you still have a shot. How about Andre? Congratulations, winner of the semifinals. That's a big deal.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. For me, of course, I'm very happy on behalf of the team, I guess. It's great to see that this is another good validations of the big vision that we have, and hopefully motivates my team and myself definitely to go further, because scaling up a material startup, as the run-up also can probably prove, is a very challenging task. You need a lot of help, a lot of funds, and a lot of patience and persistency. So this validation hopefully will get the team motivated to continue doing what we're doing.
Yes, I love that. Yeah. Again, to all the team members that's backstage, and also to the rest of the contestants, well done, really. So thank you, judges, startups, our winners, for our first regional Singapore semifinals. Stay tuned for the Indonesia semifinals that's happening on 15th September at 5 p.m. Singapore time. So if you've enjoyed today, please go register for the next one. See how the other companies want to change, can change the Indonesian landscape, and yeah, from there the world. We have judges from PT Bank DBS Indonesia and East Ventures for the session. The link is in the chat box, so register there, and yeah, see you in the next one.
That's right. So once again, thank you so much to everybody, the audience, the judges, to all of our startups for tonight. We will see you next week at the Indonesia semifinals round. Until then, my name's Nat. On behalf of my co-MC Ting, thank you for joining us.
Bye.